Good afternoon. Welcome to a new fundraising challenge, and really excited to be here today with you. My name is Hugh Brasher. I'm the event director for London Marathon Events, and I'm here also representing the mass participation sports organisers. And I'm absolutely delighted that we have a guest, Hannah Ingram-Moore, who is Captain Sir Tom Moore's daughter, and you will be hearing an enormous amount from her later, because you really don't want to hear from me. She has an amazing story, and what she and the Captain Tom Foundation are doing, and what we are announcing today to you, the charities, to raise funds for your causes, we think is enormously exciting. And I think it was 373 days ago that we all went into lockdown. And soon after that, the mass participation sports organisers launched the 2.6 challenge, and together with the charities, with business, we raised over £11.5 million for your causes. While that was going on, a certain gentleman was started a challenge in a garden to walk 100 laps. And what he achieved and what he did is genuinely mind-blowing. It is just quite incredible. This is about the journey that the family have been on, and what we are going to be talking about is a challenge, Captain Tom 100 challenge. If you could move the slideshow for us, please. So that is Captain Sir Tom Moore, 100 years old. He raised £38.9 million for charity. And he did it for National Health Service charities. And now his gift is, and his gift from him and the foundation is to use that legacy to encourage Britain to raise funds for you. So I think that that's the overall context of what we're talking about today. What I really want to do is welcome Hannah and pass over to her so she can tell the story, the incredible story that her, the family, and her father went on. So Hannah, over to you.
Thank you, Hugh, and a huge welcome to everyone who's joined us this afternoon. And thank you so much for taking the time to spend with us. So the last year of the family's life has been nothing short of a phenomena, and one that we never had any intent to go on. So just almost exactly 1 year ago, as we too were suffering with the uncertainty of a national lockdown and what the next few months of our life would be like, we sat in our garden and my father walked out with his straw hat on for the first walk of the summer, part of his rehabilitation. And he had been rehabilitating for 18 months at that point. And just a small comment that was trying to bring a little bit of joy and hope when my husband said to my father, "Look, Tom, we can't have your 100th birthday, but tell you what, walk 100 laps by your 100th birthday, and we'll give charity £100. So in his Yorkshire spirit, of course, he said, "All right, then I'll do it. If you ask me," and I said, "I'll do it, then I'll do it." And we sat there as a family and said, "Well, look, where does the money need to go? And £100 really can't buy an awful lot. And let's make it 1,000, because at least then we can try and support the COVID-19 appeal." And at the time, if you remember, it was already all about PPE. So we said, well, look, if we raise £1,000, it will do something good somewhere. And I think this is where the journey really started, even though at this point we didn't really realize. You'll see pictures there of my father, my husband, and Benji and Georgia. Benji and Georgia said, well, look, Mum, we'll put together an iMovie, and got 170 of our friends and family to say, help raise and support Captain Tom raising money for the COVID-19 appeal, NHS. And in fact, just before that, I said to my father, we need to call you something. So we're going to call you Captain Tom. And he said, you can't do that, I'm retired. And I said, but nobody will care. And nobody did care, because at the same time, we sent out a small press release that had been only what I was going to send out to tell people that they had a 100-year-old in their midst. So I'd already written it. And that only was to say, be proud. We've got someone who can tell a lot of stories, who lives near you, thinking we would pick up just one column in the local paper. So I tweeted that little press release, talked about our fundraising challenge of £1,000. We had 3.5 weeks to do it, and sent that out to local press. We sent out the movie that Benji and Georgia had made, and I said, well, let's set up a fundraising page, a Just Giving page, because at least then people can go somewhere. So we did all those things, and this was sort of on the Monday or Tuesday after that weekend. And so everything went live by about the Tuesday, but honestly, life was rolling on in the background. And then the phone started to ring. Within 24 hours, we were on regional television. Within 48 hours, we were on national television. And in a week, we were talking to the world. And we had, in less than 1 week, raised £500,000. It seemed unbelievable to us, and actually still does now. So that was the journey that we started to go on. And we realized at this point, and remember, that I was simply my father's ears, because he couldn't hear and hadn't heard well for a long time. So I sat beside my father as his ears, and Benji and Georgia stood behind the camera, because we were using my old music stand from when I learnt recorder at school, with the iPhone propped on it, and Benji or Georgia hanging onto it, because always when we went on broadcast, they'd say, can you tip it down a bit? And of course we couldn't, because then the phone would fall off, and it did numerous times. So we were just novices, and truly believing at this point that every interview might be the last one. And yet look at the money rolling in. None of us could believe it. And I can't even explain how that feels. But suddenly we're talking to the world, and we're a very close family, and have always been so. As we moved into this house in 2007, we sold our house. My father had sold his house. We came up the driveway of this house together. We've never lived here without him. And we were such a tight family of 5 that we started to realize that there was this journey that we were going on, using our emotional resilience as a family, because suddenly the world wanted to talk to us. And we didn't have experience of doing that. We didn't have experience of the tech that we were using. And suddenly the world wanted to talk to him. So we would go on this magical around the world journey, where we would often start in Europe. And I remember one interview with France, where they said, but Captain Tom, what would you tell the French people? Because we're suffering too. And he said, well, if the roast beef can do it, the French can do it too. And as we rotated around Europe, I would often, as we sat there, and imagine this, that as I am sitting here today, my father was next to me, shoulder to shoulder. And we'd look at our media schedule, which was now 30 deep every day. And it would tell us who we're talking to, what channel it was, who were the presenters, how long we had, which was often only minutes, and what tech we were using. Of course, and he relied on us completely for that part of it. And then we'd go down the east coast of America. And I remember Nashville really clearly, because he'd say, oh, tell me about Nashville. And I tried to give him sound bites in his head so he could imagine it. And I'd say, well, think Blue Mountains, think country music, think Elvis Presley. And we'd go live on air. And he said, but good morning, Nashville. I've never been to your Blue Mountains, but I would love to be there. And so he charmed his way around the world. And keep in mind that his Uncle Arthur, was a comedian on the stage, funny bones through the family. And he had a glint in his eye, and the magic of someone who'd reached almost 100, had seen all of these challenges through his life and yet come through them. And all through his life with us, it positivity never failed. For him, it was always about tomorrow being a good day. It was always about sleep on it, you'll feel better in the morning. Best foot forward, girls, that's all we ever heard. Because he had gone through adversity in his life more than many people could imagine. And yet here he was at 100, living in this family, this loving family environment, and able to say to the world, it will get better. We're in this together. And every time we look at that dark period ahead, every day is one less day of that difficult time. And he became a beacon of hope around the world. And by 2 weeks in, we'd hit £12 million. In fact, there was a special moment as we hit 5 million. We were live on air with Victoria Derbyshire, and she was refreshing the Just Giving page. And she said, Tom, it's crashed again, but I've told the producers we're not going off air until we hit 5 million. So we held the whole schedule up, and we were on air as she said, it's come back. And then she honestly almost leaped through the screen and said, Tom, you've done it. It's £5 million. Can you imagine the emotion that we felt? I mean, she was crying, we were emotional. £5 million. We were over, not even at 2 weeks. As we hit £12 million in 2 weeks, the tectonic plates of our life shifted. We had been an early BBC breakfast, and they'd been there since 4:30 in the morning. Lots of the things that the world never saw, that whenever we talked to the world, we had broadcasters with us from 4:30 in the morning. So as that finished and the BBC packed up and the Yorkshire Regiment went off, I was standing outside the house on the phone on a live interview with Chris Evans. And he was very excitable that day and said that we needed to get all these people to sponsor my father's shoes and sponsor his walker and do amazing things. And at the same time, as I looked down the driveway, I saw the world's media come up it. And I can honestly say that I didn't know what to do. For all of the tools I had in my toolbox as a business person, I didn't know what to do or how to handle it. My father had gone back inside. Benji and Colin were picking up emails. We'd had 1.5 million emails in the first 10 days. And I looked around, and only Georgia, who was 11 at the time, was there as one of the main broadcasters set up and said, can you go live? We've got 3 minutes. Can you go live? And of course, at this point, we're compelled to talk to everybody, because if we don't, maybe the donations will stop. And now we're fueling an incredible amount of money into this worthy cause. We don't want it to stop. So Georgia and I said, yes, we'll go live. And of course, I thought as a parent that they would immediately go to me. And in fact, they went straight to her at age 11 and said, so Georgia, tell us, how do you feel about your grandfather? How does that emotionally make you feel? And I think that many 11-year-olds would find it hard to articulate how they emotionally felt at that time. But also as a parent, and I've learned now in my 2 weeks that I'm looking at the camera and I'm smiling and I have no idea what she's going to say. And actually, she did beautifully. We must always trust our children, I think. It was a good lesson. But the emotion that we had then after that day, the press didn't go, they were there all day. And at one point, there's a photo you'll see many times of myself, my father and the children. There was a bank of press about 20 deep, 10 wide. And all we could hear was the shutter noises of the cameras. We went in that day, and my father actually said to me, Hannah, you need to make it stop. This is too much for you to handle. He wasn't worried about him. Of course, we were worried about him. He was worried about us. He could see that we weren't eating, weren't sleeping. But we sat there as a family, and I touched on that emotional resilience before, that we sat there and said, look, we know this is having a sensational impact on the world. We can't stop. We shouldn't stop, but we have to manage it. And so it stops managing us. But we know that we can. And we started to reach out to some people who could bring incredible skill to support us. And it was out of that conversation that the Captain Tom Foundation was born. Because what we said is, look, there's a legacy here. There's a legacy to this country. We owe this country this legacy of hope, because that's what he's become, a beacon of hope. And my father, Colin, Benji, and I sat around the table and said, we need to create a charity, a foundation in your name. And honestly, I don't think even until his very dying days that he could understand how that ever happened. But what he did understand was the pride he felt in creating something so powerful with his name on it. And with the Captain Tom Foundation being created, the causes that we have listed are the causes that are the emotions that run through our family and always have. The representation that we feel that we can have for so many people. We know that we can shine the light on so many causes. And that is how we reached the status of the foundation, inspiring hope where it's needed most, and wishing for a more hopeful world, and believing that we can help there to be a more hopeful world. So thinking about the incredible journey that my father continued to go on, of course, being knighted by the Queen, which was a sensational moment, and for the whole family, because she asked to see us all, and it will go down, I think, it will stay with us all in our hearts forever. We realized that we had a responsibility. So this incredible force of hope and joy that my father had become sat with us and continues to sit with us. And I can only describe it as a feeling of having gold dust in your hands or fine bone china. That if you just move a little too quickly, if you rush, if the wind blows a bit too hard, we might just lose it, because it's something so precious. It's a gift that he has given to us, and it's a gift that we share with you. And it's that gift of hope. And when we were talking about his 101st birthday, which we absolutely believed that he would be at, and so did he, it was such an incredibly powerful moment when Hugh and his team at London Marathon Events came and said to us, and I will never forget this, and said, look, we offer you us. And in our life over that past year, it was very rare for people to offer us help. And I'm not saying that in any negative way. It's just that I think everyone thought that we knew what we were doing. And actually, most of the time, we really didn't. So when Hugh came and offered help to us and support, I think we spent the first few weeks checking that he really meant it, and continually phoning and saying, are you sure? Are you sure you can do this for us? Because we just couldn't believe that such a resource, a knowledgeable resource, was willingly offering themselves to us. So we embarked on this journey of how we could celebrate my father's 101st birthday. And remember, my father is alive and well at this point and very much engaged in this conversation. And he was a man of inclusivity all his life. One of his earliest memories as a young boy was his grandfather insisting on payday that the wives came with the men, because he realized in 1880, without anyone telling him about equality, inclusion, he realized that he needed to invest in the community, in the women and the children, to ensure that the community was even healthier. Imagine that when you're 10, seeing that incredible influence of someone who hadn't been taught to think that, who thought that because it was the right thing to do. And then he said his mother was the first female driver in the West Riding, and she took a lot of stick for it, but he said she was better than all the men. And so in that vein, right, in that mentality of someone who fundamentally believes in access for all, think about the Captain Tom 100, because the Captain Tom 100 says to you and says to the people of the United Kingdom and all around the world, challenge yourself with the number 100. Develop your own challenge. Develop your own thing around the number 100. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter big or small. This is not a competition of grandeur. This is about access to everyone. This is about saying the proudest number my father ever had was the number 100. And he would like you to pick that up and do 100 things to raise money, to support the Captain Tom Foundation, of course, to help us to do the powerfully good things he wanted us to do, and we carry on doing, or to support any charity. And the gift that I talked about that we as a family hold is a gift that we hold in our hands, like I said, like gold dust. But that gift is hope. And that gift of hope and positivity, we willingly share with you. We willingly share that we pass on to you what he's left us, because it's not just mine as his daughter or us as his family. This gift is for us. He believed in the fundamental kindness of the human spirit. And this event, this is going to allow anyone, anywhere, to do 100 things and support charities. So I hope that's given you just a little bit of a window into the world of our last year, and also of the powerful emotions we feel around this celebration of his birthday and the Captain Tom 100 that we hope you can bring alive with us.
Thank you, Hannah. It really is an incredibly inspiring story, and I can see in the chat how much people have brought to tears by the story and the journey that the family, Hannah, Benji, Colin, Georgia, have been on. And now that the gift that they're giving of creating together, what we've done is create the Captain Tom 100. And lots of people have given their time and effort to create a website, to create assets that you can all use, and that this will go live. This will be announced on the anniversary of the start of Captain Tom's walk, which is the 6th of April. So everything that we're talking to you about today is embargoed. It is absolutely confidential. Nothing, you will not see the website. You will not see the assets that you will be able to download until 0001 on the 6th of April. And at that moment, you will then see the website. You will see that you can use, for a limited period of time, Captain Tom's image. You can use this campaign to raise funds for charity. And Hannah has, on the 6th of April, the most crazy diary of interviews to promote the gift that her, the family, her father, and the foundation are giving to create another moment of unity for this country. And that will be on the 30th of April, the date that would have been Captain Sir Tom's 101st birthday. And that is a Friday, the 30th of April, but the challenge is the Friday, the Saturday, the Sunday, or the bank holiday Monday. And you, what you will get access to, in the similar way that you got access on the 2.6 challenge, you will get access to these assets to allow you to use them to raise these funds. And it is the most wonderful gift. And the team behind this is London Marathon Events, it's Mass Participation Organisers, Human Race, it is Adam and Eve, an agency that we're going to show you a film shortly, done some incredible work on that film. Studio Republic, who created the website and did a huge amount of work also on the 2.6 challenge, and Livewire in terms of the social media activation that will happen and that will build. So this will get announced, as I say, on the 6th of April. You have this advance notification, and please keep it to yourselves within your organization. That is really, as Hannah's, absolutely, this is, it needs to be kept secret. The impact that Hannah can make on the 6th of April, the anniversary of her father starting, is just huge. So it is just, an incredible gift. And, we hope that you as a, as the charity sector, embrace the 100 and the Captain Tom 100, and that it is something that Great Britain gets behind over that weekend, over that bank holiday weekend, and the day that would have been Captain Sir Tom's 101st birthday. So we will do question and answers shortly, but this is about getting the nation to do the 100, as Hannah said, in whatever way they want to do it. 100 flipping pancakes, 100 skips, 100 thank yous, 100 smiles. For those of you that might cycle 100 miles, whatever, a big challenge, a small challenge, whatever it is, this is about inclusively getting Britain to raise much needed funds for charities. And we'll now play you a short video and then go to questions from the floor. Thank you.
Last year, Captain Tom inspired us all.
From the 30th of April to the 3rd of May, Captain Tom's legacy will shine bright.
So whatever you can do it 100 times for charity.
6, 5,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
22, 23.
42 miles. 53, 54.
This is not easy.
88.
96, 97.
98.
99.
100.
Fundraise or donate to a charity of your choice.
And post your 100 with the hashtag Captain Tom 100.
So together we can continue what my father started.
But that film will just be part of the massive campaign that will go out and that Hannah will be fronting to create this just incredible legacy. So what we're going to do is ask for questions and answers. Oh, well, we'll give the answers, hopefully. We'll just ask for some questions for people to ask. And once again, it really is so important to say this is strictly embargoed. You will be able to see a recording of this webinar that will be sent to you on the 6th. You will get access to all the assets on the 6th. And this is about, again, charities coming together around this most incredible man, around this number 100. And we look forward to working with you and helping you to activate that. And we do have a huge amount of support here from Just Giving and Virgin Money Giving, who will also be in contact, and they are setting up pages to enable people to show that they're raising money under the badge of the Captain Tom 100. So it really will be about, if for those of you that did the 2.6 challenge and understood that, we're taking the learnings from that and trying to improve the experience. Hence, you have more notice than you had previously. This is advanced advanced notification, and we cannot, or we're not prepared to give these assets out before the 6th. So it will be from the 6th. It will build and build. The whole idea of this is that it builds until the date, which is the 30th, the 1st and the 2nd. And Captain Sir Tom was a proud Yorkshireman. And I think there's just been a thing about there, Keithley, in the chat. We absolutely expect Yorkshire. And Hannah, if you want to just say something about Yorkshire and what that meant to your father. You're on mute, Hannah.
Better now? Thumbs up, you can hear me? Great. So my father never stopped being a proud Yorkshireman ever. And there's a couple of funny stories that I can tell you. But as the youngest in the family, I was always sent under the car to change the oil. Now, we also, before I was 8, was able to take out the spark plugs because he's a Yorkshireman, right? So he'd never buy a new set. In fact, we would get the blowtorch and dry them off and put them back in. He would take the carburettor out, and then we would clean out the carburettor with fuel in order to save on buying anything new. So a proud Yorkshireman he was, but those roots back into the Yorkshire Dales, where they were the formation and the foundation of everything that he believed in, it's where he went back to after he'd fought in the war. But all of those early nurturing skills and the environment he was in really carved him out to be the person that he is today. So those links to Yorkshire, in fact, we feel them. And we're always so moved when we go back to Yorkshire, but we believe that there are some strong links yet to forge.
Thank you, Hannah. And in terms of just answering some of the questions, this is for the assets that you will be able to download, and they will be downloadable from the website in exactly the same way that they were in the 2.6 challenge. That website will go live at 0001 on the 6th of April. You will be able to download those assets, and then you use those assets alongside your charity to get your charity fundraisers to raise money for you or for the foundation. And so you can do that through whatever platform you want. Virgin Money Giving and Just Giving have been working with us to make the process as smooth as possible for people and to promote this. So the money will all be going to you as charities. We are not setting up a central pot as we did in the 2.6 challenge. We're not doing that because in reality, I think it was about 1.1% of the funds raised went to the central pot. If people want to raise money for the foundation, there is a pot there, absolutely. But we're not going to do a distribution of funds across different charities. This is for you to take this campaign and use it to encourage your supporters around Britain to get involved in the Captain Tom 100 and to get Britain doing something positive with activity, doing something positive with exercise, doing something positive as another amazing thing that Captain Sir Tom has then made happen. And as Hannah said, you know, I was lucky enough to speak to him with my kids, and it was an incredible experience. And it was incredible because, you know, I think my kids are very privileged. I've come from a very privileged background. You know, my father was an Olympic gold medalist. He found London Marathon. He hung around with famous people. My kids have never, ever, ever been so excited as the thought that they could speak to Captain Sir Tom. The fact that I was speaking to him just was incredible. And my children are 7 and 10, and they put their blazers on to speak to Captain Sir Tom. And my eldest daughter was in tears afterwards, and those were tears of joy. That is the incredible impact that this man has had and will continue to do through the foundation. So this is about you being able to use his assets. This campaign is going to be huge. We don't know how big it's going to be. As Hannah so eloquently said, he started on a journey to raise £100. That got raised to £1,000. And look what happened. In terms of, some people have talked about match funding. That was a government initiative that never happened on the 2.6 challenge. We tried to get it to happen. It never happened. It happened on a very, very few initiatives. We have put this together over the last sort of 3 weeks. we really hope that the assets that you get will enable you to explode this in the country, around the country, and we believe internationally. Hannah, do you want to just say what happened internationally and the impact that your father had?
Thank you, Hugh. And once again, I'm just seeing some of the comments coming through. It's amazing to connect with you all and to be in a position to be able to talk to you all. I think there's one thing that's really clear that perhaps I should talk about, is that we are just an ordinary family, always have been, always will be. And something extraordinary happened. And often I wonder how and why that this incredible responsibility, as well as the gift, landed with us. All that we're ever trying to do is to ensure the integrity of that gift. And that's why it feels so right to be sharing it again with the British public, with all of you. It's very powerful. And we believe that it's all through collaboration, isn't it? That none of these things can we do by ourselves. This story of ours, it was taken by the people. He was a man of the people, and we are just a family of the people. And so what happened to us very quickly is that this was taken, the story and the message was taken by the world, because it wasn't just us who were going through a national lockdown and suffering. It was the world going through it with us at the same time. A pandemic in every sense of the word, not just in the sense of a disease, but in the sense of humanity, in the sense of economy, in the sense of stability. And that needed somebody to say it's going to be okay. So as we rotated around the world, people donated. Now those people, many countries, as many of you will know, admire our National Health Service. It is admired from afar. Many countries have tried to replicate it and find it really difficult to do so. So they have admiration for our National Health Service. But people from 163 countries donated. And very quickly, to tell you that would means that only 32 didn't. Imagine that. Put that into the scale of the world that we know and we look at. Only 32 countries didn't. And there are times since that we've thought, we'll find out who those 32 are and why didn't they? But mostly just think about that there are some global companies that do not reach anywhere near that kind of scale in terms of reach. So just imagine what this can do if we, the British, get behind it. And I know that we will. He was so proud to be British, by the way. And that pride sat not as Britain in a singular form, but in the form of total inclusivity in our multicultural, multiracial environment. He felt pride. He felt pride that we should fly the flag. Somebody said he made wearing medals cool again. And somebody else said he actually made being old cool again. And so look at what one person can do if we believe and we get behind them. The impact on this globally, I don't know. I think Hugh and I probably, we feel it and we know it. But until it happens, maybe we can't quite get there. We feel that it has to, because who wouldn't want to be part of this joy and hope? Because there's no ulterior behind it. This is about spreading the gift of hope again and continuing to do so. And I think that other countries looked at us here and they went, wow, you know, in the middle of this crisis, we're able to show that we have genuine humanity about us. I think that's really something we should be proud of.
Thank you, Hannah. And again, some other questions. I mean, what is so amazing about Captain Sir Tom? I mean, absolutely, he lived to 100, but his life was so varied. You know, from the army to his love of dogs. Someone asked in the question, and Hannah, I mean, you know, just dogs are a huge part of your life, aren't they? Huge,
and they still are a bit sad. You know, we are all sad. We carry sadness. You know, my father is in the fabric of our building. It's Grandpa's living room, it's Grandpa's bedroom. And a sadness for me is that I now don't order the things for him to come every week. He was a total chocoholic. and had the largest sweet tooth of anyone I know. But being the Yorkshireman that he was, he would always encourage me to buy the buy one, get one free. So he was, his favourite biscuit was a hobnob. And so we still have a drawer of about 10 packets of hobnobs, because that's what I did for him. I always made sure that he wouldn't run out of them. And to paint a picture of him, by his side always would be, in his living room, a bottle of Coke, some dairy milk chocolate, some WD-40, because he believed that could fix almost everything, and a packet of dog biscuits. So as the dogs walked around the house when he was there, he would just be sneaking them treats, knowing that that was against everything that I wanted to do. But he didn't care. He fed them anyway, and they loved him for it. And now they sit outside his room, and it's really sad. So the sadness is in the physical loss of him, but the joy is in the hope that he left us with. And I can't explain that more powerfully than to say that the gift that we have of our family unity, of something we did by total accident that became something sensational, allowed us to have this powerful gift of hope for the future. And think about this also, that my father was very clear about his wishes about the funeral. And he wanted the last song to be, I Did It My Way, because, you know, he certainly did. And part of this Captain Tom 100 is now he's saying, take the number 100 and do it your way. What an amazing thing to be able to do.
Thank you, Hannah. And that is absolutely, it's yes, this challenge is Friday the 30th to Monday the 3rd. However, we know that different people will adopt it in their own way. And absolutely, as Hannah just said, it's doing it their way. You know, it's such an emotive song. It's a really moving part of the funeral, and yeah, it's getting you to do it your way, your supporters to do it your way. We understand that the deficit that charities have in their fundraising through the pandemic, and we understand the need for your services more than ever. And that's why this gift from the foundation, from the family, we hope can really fill that gap, really concentrate people's minds on the importance in our society to fundraising and to charity. So yeah, it's absolutely, it can be done. You know, the campaign is in, you know, there'll be a lot of stuff going on in schools. So Friday the 30th of April is a school day, and the whole weekend, the whole bank holiday. You know, you saw some of the celebrities in that film. And again, in terms of people that have backed Captain Sir Tom and the family through this, it's incredible to hear. Is there anything you'd like to say on that, Hannah, as well?
Well, along this incredible journey we have been on, as I said to you, we were always a bit surprised anytime anyone offered help. And very early on, some sensational people began to give us their support. And how do I explain this in words that are succinct? That when you are centered in something that you don't really know how to manage, and that we're hanging on by our fingertips at this point, dealing with, by the second week, in the realms of 3 million plus emails, with the world's media around every side of our garden, with drones going up and with light aircraft filming, that we felt sometimes alone in dealing with it in those early days. But the unity of the family held us together. And then people started to say, you're looking a little bit tired. Do you need anything? And I would generally say, no, it's fine. I think we're okay. Thank you. And because we're so British, aren't we? And in fact, what then some incredibly special people started to do was say, we think you do need some help, and I think this is how we can give it. And some of those are people who are very much in the public eye, And it felt incredible to have the support of people who offered it willingly for no reason, not for glory, not for fame, who were prepared to come in and stay as a family, as we were being overwhelmed with 200,000 birthday cards. So far, we think we've received 300,000 letters, and then tens of thousands of gifts. And understand how to, as a family of 5, one was 100 and one was 11, how do we do that? How do we cope with that? But also, how do we continue to talk to the British public as our friends? And how do we make sure that our message carries integrity at every point? So I think what we must understand is that we are in this together. We were always from the beginning, and we are in it now. And we simply want you to come on this incredible journey with us. We see in my working life, we talk a lot. I train senior leadership, we do behavioral assessments, cultural change. And within that environment, we talk a lot about the hierarchy of needs. And what this pandemic has done, it's started to chip away at the basic needs of us as human beings. And what that does, it creates abject uncertainty. And what we have to do with this, what this will allow us to do, is start to build a little bit of certainty back into our lives by ensuring that as we raise money for charities across the UK, including our own, what it does is cements a little bit of normal back into our life, and it allows us to start looking forward, because this also leaves an incredible gap in mental health. And between us, we know that we need to do something powerful to support those who are most at need. So let's unite and do this together in my Father's name, and do what we know we can do best. You know, keep that pride in Britain that we have, and show each other that we can also do that and have a really good time at the same time.
Thank you, Hannah. We're going to wrap this up shortly, and I just want to say an enormous thank you to Hannah, to her family, to the foundation for allowing us to take this campaign across Britain to all charities. It is a huge gift, and we really hope it will remind people of the need for charity fundraising, the importance, as I say, that you all play within society. And this is us working together. And it is through together, being together, working together, that we're where we are now. And that is 30 million vaccinations, science working together. We have hope, and hope was Captain Sir Tom's message. And we really hope that today, that message of hope, tomorrow will be a good day, has resonated. And I just want to say thank you, Hannah. It is always incredible to hear you speak, to hear the journey that you've been on. I know how busy you are, and I know the amount of effort that you've put into it personally to make this happen, and will be over the next 4 weeks, and then longer on that, just on the journey that your whole family has been on. So thank you so much. As I said, this is embargoed. I'm saying it again and again and again. From the 6th, then this should explode around Britain. Hannah's messages going out to schools, messages going out to businesses, messages from celebrities, to build to that bank holiday weekend and the day, the Friday, the 30th of April, that would have been Captain Sir Tom's 101st birthday. So thank you so much, Hannah. It's always a pleasure to hear you speak. Thank you.
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you, Hugh, for those incredible words. And you know that we cannot often quite believe the partnership that we have created between us. And thank you to all those other businesses and people who have worked so hard on this. And simply, it is not all about me, it's about everyone. So many people have touched this to make it what it is today. And I thank all of you charity representatives who have come on this webinar today. We know that this is a really difficult time, and let's just unite together and do what we started off to do, create a little bit of joy and raise a little bit of money. So we look forward to going on this incredible journey with you, and thank you again, Hugh, and thank you to everyone who's here.
Look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.